Welcome to Pat Podcast 18. Today, I'll be talking about one of my favorite topics, resting. Resting. Why is resting so freaking important? By the way, if this is your first chance back to come here to the Pat Podcast, I would implore you to consider subscribing to our channel, in addition to hitting the little bell so that you know when it's time for us to come back and for this weirdo to lecture you once again on things that he's not necessarily an expert on, but he sure feels strongly about. And that's pretty much what we all, do, right? We give opinions about things that we feel very strongly about. The reason I want to talk about rest is because it's been an especially stressful week. And I know that it's important to adhere to your responsibilities. And I certainly am not advocating, ignoring your responsibilities or in any way trying to say, screw everything and just march out of work and do nothing. No. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I feel that the more you value the work that you do, the more important rest becomes. Think of it like this for a second. You're a doctor. You're a surgeon. You're performing an operation on anybody. You are going to go into a surgery unrested. How are you going to perform? And as a person that you're working on, their life's at stake, right? Well, that's kind of what I'm angling towards. Like, well, that's a little bit extreme. We're not all surgeons. I go to work and I press a button and Coke comes out and that's it. That's all I do. Well, okay. Still. But what about your passions and and the things that you care about, the things that your family and stuff like that? And everything that means something to you. Why is it important to rest? And no, I'm not talking about being in groups of situations where you're like, you have people around you all the time and you're out at a baseball game or a football game or stuff like that. Yes, that some people find relaxation in that, and for that, I'm all for that. Great. If that helps you out, wonderful. But what I'm referring to is a time you get to sit in front of the couch and grab a thing of popcorn and turn on Stranger Things or bloody The Office or anything, and you just stop. You get a chance to think. Not too long ago, I did a podcast talking about, anxiety and introverts. And my case was that an introvert needs at least a day to themselves a week. And I'm not talking about a full day necessarily, but maybe like 8 hours to themselves, just a time to be left alone and to collect your thoughts. Some people choose to spend that overthinking. I think it's actually very therapeutic. You need a chance to just get everything out and do everything that you need to do so that you can take a break and take a step back from life. And what I'm telling you to do is kind of like give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself permission to do that, because a lot of times we're like, oh, we don't have time for that. I got a job and I got payments and I got to go to the doctor, which if you listen to that other podcast that I did where about the doctor visit, you know how stressful that can be. But then we forget to rest. We think that, oh no, I'm Superman, or oh no, I don't have time. And I tell you this, rest should be a part of your schedule. It has to be a part of your schedule. At least 3 to 4 hours by yourself. Almost every successful YouTuber I've ever come across is always spouting the praises of meditation. At least 20 minutes. And sometimes that's all they need to clear their head, to get out there. I think you need a little bit longer than that, but I'm not a meditator. I pray, and that's very similar to meditating, but it's the same concept of just allowing yourself permission to stop for just a little bit. Once again, this is not ignoring your responsibilities. It's actually taking your responsibilities so seriously that you make resting one of your priorities. How many times do you wake up in the morning and the first thing you can think of is, oh God, I just want to go home and go back to bed? Almost everybody, right? Even I do that from time to time. But how cool is it if you wake up and you think, okay, yeah, it stinks right now, but you know what? At 4 o'clock or at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock or whenever you get out of work, I'm going to give myself at least 1 to 2 hours of nothing. Nothing. Just sitting there. Especially with guys. women have this thing where, and I mean this in the most positive, uplifting sort of way, by the way, where they can sometimes keep going and they're thinking about everything, and that's the way that they relax. But guys, especially people like me, we just like that nothing for a little bit, where we can just stop and relax and be like, okay, now I'm home. I don't have to do anything. I've stopped taking a break. It's kind of like holding your breath. You hold your breath all day, and then you get a chance to exhale, and then you get to breathe again. And that, I feel, is so important to your day job or anything else that you do. But everybody gets so mad at themselves for wanting that time. They call it weakness, laziness, sloth, and all these sorts of other things. Oh, I don't have time for that. You just got to keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, okay, some people can do that, and sure, and if it works for you, that's wonderful. But I am under the impression, and I'm hoping that this reaches people that might agree with me, is that resting is valuable. Let me give you another example. Right now, we've been very fortunate that the J is doing very well. You know, Christopher Thompson, one of my greatest friends, who is awesome. He is knocking it out of the ballpark with all this artwork, which I'm sure you're seeing. If you're on our YouTube page, or if you're listening to this and you want to visit our YouTube page, you should check it out. It's night and day. He's done such an amazing job with the thumbnails. He's done such an amazing job designing the banner, and he's helping us with the Twitter and all this great stuff, and he's doing a great job. Even our Reddit looks better now, and I'm like, I didn't even know we had a Reddit. But it's looking good, and it's really it's kind of a stressful time in a way, because now it's a matter of rebranding everything and freshening things up, which is a good thing. I love seeing brand new things, but it is stressful. And then we just acquired some new people. We acquired some old friends, which I think you guys will be real excited to see. And they all have projects and they'll have ideas, which is great. I love working with excited people. It makes me excited. It makes me want to work harder and get in there. But the problem is, I tend to be the type of personality that's like, okay, you want to do this? Okay, let's do this right now. Okay, you want to do this? Okay, let's do this right now. Okay, you want to do this? And I'm trying very hard to give each of them equal attention and make sure that each of their projects get taken care of, because as a producer, that's kind of my job. That's my responsibility, is making sure that they have what they need, or at least the direction that they need to accomplish what they want to do. And I take that very seriously. But it's not always realistic. And furthermore, there's not enough hours in the day, and furthermore, I shouldn't be trying to do all of it at the same time. So yes, in a way, I'm scolding myself too. It's not a matter of trying to do all of it at once, and then you rest, and then you try to do it all again, and then you stop. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You have to budget your time, and that'll be a whole different other podcast. You have to do different things at a time, and then you rest. But what I'm referring to is that initial desire to want to do everything. And even though it's noble, and even though you're good at what you do, you may be a jack of all trades, you may be the king of running around, and you don't ever have to worry about, stopping. You just have this unlimited supply of energy, and if you do, damn you, not really. I envy you. I wish I had that. You have to take some time to take a break. It's required. I mean, commercial airline pilots, what do you think? They only let them fly so many hours a year, a month, a week. Because when you get tired, you start making mistakes. And this goes back to what I was talking about with the surgeon. If you're not well rested, you can make mistakes. Or even worse, you'll lose sight of what you're doing in the first place. One of the other common things that I see on YouTube is these people who, they're making stuff every single day, which I commend them for, but that's a nonstop cycle of record, edit, upload, record, edit, upload. And then they're still expected to take it to the next level. They're still expected to find new and adaptive ways to do this, and they don't really give themselves a break. And maybe that's the reason why they're so successful. I mean, who am I to criticize, right? Good for them. But that's the price you pay for not stopping. I don't know if you're like me, but after a while, you lose your creative drive, and it becomes more of a chore. And I'm under the impression that if you're doing something that you love and it turns into a job, or it loses that love of it in any way, and I'm not talking about every single day. You're going to have days where it's miserable and you don't want to have to deal with it anymore. But if you don't have those days come back where you're like, this is awesome, this is cool, I love doing this, Like for me, this is like, once again, this is like therapy for me, that I get a chance to just get it all out. This is part of my rest. And how I get a chance to unwind. If that fun part doesn't come back, then that hobby is going to be, pointless or useless, and you'll kill your love for anything that you've worked really hard to accomplish. And the way to avoid that happening is you take a break. You step back from it. You say, you know what? I can't do a video every single day. You know what? Maybe I can't get a video every single week. Maybe I can get something out, but I won't be able to get everything out. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes when you're trying to make several productions happen at the same time. And it's like, well, you don't look like you have a lot of stuff coming out, but how dare you? But, you plan them, and that's why, you plan them so that you have good quality content. You have decent content, because you don't want to just release stuff that's haphazard, or, sometimes it's not perfect, but at least you did a good job. You did a meaningful job. There's a purpose to what you did. It's not just to throw something out there. But you have to you'll lose that sight of what it is you're trying to accomplish if you're not well rested. And that translates. If you look at the first Pat podcast, and I hate to admit this, and I really don't want to, but I'm going to anyway, because I have to hold myself accountable. You can tell in my first Pat podcast, I was just lumping it through. I was burnt. I was tired. And in my mindset, I was thinking, I just need to get something out. And I had important things to say. I was very, I was having fun with it. I was enjoying life and everything, but I didn't give it the energy it deserved. I didn't give it the time it deserved. And for that, I regret, but I'm glad that I still uploaded it. And you know why? Because I got to see where I was then and where I am now. And you know what the difference was? Not taking myself as seriously and not trying my best not to care what anybody else says. And then, of course, resting. Stopping everything. Stopping production. Stopping trying to manage people. Stop trying to micromanage people. I'm a micromanager. I'm what you would call a helicopter parent. I worry about my kid. I go make sure that they're okay, that they have everything that they need, and that they're not going to hurt themselves, and that if they do hurt themselves, I want to make sure that I did everything I could so that they can't blame me. And that sounds terrible, but that's the truth. You want to do everything to be as prepared as you can. And a lot of people who are content creators, or even just workers, servers, or whatever, they want to provide that sort of experience for the people that they work for and with. And it's hard to not burn out. You're going to burn out, but at a certain point, you just have to be able to delegate a task. And if they get it done, awesome. And if they don't, you learn from it and you grow from it and you move on to the next thing. But trying to micromanage everything is just so hard. And the best way to stop micromanaging is saying, forget it. I gave there's this assignment. If it gets done, great. But if not, I'll move on to the next thing. And just let it roll off your shoulder. And while you're deciding that, take a break and relax. I would even go so far as saying, don't watch YouTube. Don't watch anything that's content created related for at least one of your breaks. Because that's what we do, right? As people who are on YouTube, we stop and we go out and watch the people that have been doing this for years and have success beyond success, and we get inspired by them, or sometimes we get jealous and we wonder, why are we killing ourselves trying to make it like them? We can never get like them. But it's because you're constantly putting them in front of you to compare yourself to, and you're not giving yourself a chance to step back from it and let all the creative juices come back. YouTubers burn out all the time. Like I was saying earlier, there's so many videos of people, especially now, talking about how they're just burning out from YouTube and they can't do it and the pressures are there. And it's horrendous, like a chore that they've made for themselves. They trap themselves inside this endless search for their 15 minutes of fame. And it's eating into them to the point where they feel trapped, like that it's not worth it anymore, or they whatever. And there's some real sad stories out there about stuff like that. And I was talking about in a motivation podcast where it has to be for more than just monetary value. It has to be more than just oh, look, now I'm popular and hopefully one day I'll end up on YouTube Rewind. It has to be more than that. And it has to be more than cynicism, too. I mean, that's coming from me, right? I'll be cynical in 5 minutes. Watch. No, but it has to be about yourself and taking yourself seriously enough to give yourself a break and step back from all of that and reassess why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And the best advice I can give anybody, including myself, is that if you no longer feel that drive to it and if it's killing you, take a long break and then try to come back from it. And if you don't want to come back to it, you have your answer. And that's not what you want to do. And that's not a bad thing either. How many years do we have in this lifetime? Some people live to 100, some people live to 80, some people live to 60, some people live to 50s. All sorts of problems and so all certain types of issues and all these things. I mean, you don't even have to have any type of issues with you. You could go outside and get hit by a car. I mean, I got hit. Well, I didn't get hit by a car. My car almost got hit by a car. And you know what the ironic part is that the person was at a hearing aid center, and I honked my horn so they would avoid hitting me. And the reason why they didn't hear me is because they're at the hearing aid center. That's the whole reason they were there, because they're having trouble hearing. So if I didn't get hit because he noticed at the last minute, and very dramatic. And then have you noticed that people always look at you like this? And then they drive away. Sorry. I was like, okay, really? Sorry, I went off on that randomly. But yeah, I mean, you have a short life. In perspective of eternity, and in perspective of the years that we're here on this planet, the average human lifespan. Are you happy? Do you even have the time to stop and to think, am I happy? I have what I have. I have the stuff that's supposed to make me happy, but are you happy? And sometimes people, yes, they have it because it's a clinical condition, and that I'm not making light of in any way. But I'm referring to this, once again, the high expectation that we place on ourselves that's unrealistic. And that's, once again, dangerous. If you give yourself a chance to rest, I mean, really stop and then look around and appreciate the world for what it is, you might find that, you know, there's nothing in what it is you're killing yourself doing, and maybe you shouldn't be there anymore. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it anymore. And maybe you find something in your life that's a little bit more inspiring to do, and you no longer kill yourself doing something you actually enjoy. You may not get the fame you were seeking, you may not get the monetary value that you were seeking, but you'll be happy. And isn't that the purpose of life, is just having those moments in life where you're happy and giving yourself permission to enjoy those moments. I mean, I've gone to dinner so many times with friends of mine, family members, and we're talking about something lighthearted like, you know, hey, there's going to be a birthday party for one of the kids this weekend. Hey, we should all, you know, we should have a bunch of pizza and, you know, play games, and maybe we can get the kids together and do something fun. And it's this great thing. And you see that one person, they're just off in their own little world inside their head. And I've been this person before, so I'm not being critical of it. I get it. And I still can be that person once in a while if I don't stop myself. But they're missing out on the enjoyment that's right in front of them, because they're so obsessed with constantly being on the go, constantly being on, constantly having to push themselves to do the next thing, or they're constantly thinking, okay, well, now I got to pay bills, and oh my God, when I get home, I got to freaking do the laundry. I got to get home. I got to cut the grass, do all this. I can't wait till I can just stop and rest. And they try to keep pushing, but then by the time they're done, they're exhausted. They fall asleep, they wake up, and it's the next day, and you start all over again. It's just why it's so important that you have to make resting a part of your schedule. A part of it. Otherwise, you will burn out, and then you'll look up one day and you'll be 70 years old and be like, how the hell did I get here? I've heard that from so many people, especially my elders, especially my grandfathers, who have told me that they just woke up one day and they have no idea how it is they got there. They were just there one day. And it's because they didn't stop to rest and furthermore appreciate what it is they had. You know, you got to also celebrate the awesome stuff in your life. You have a house, or you have a place to live. You have food. You have the ability to walk. You have the ability to sing. You have the ability to, type. You have the ability to draw. You have the ability to listen to music. Your ears work. There's so many things to be appreciative of and to celebrate and truly be grateful for. But if you're so focused on the things that you're not, think about this. You're constantly thinking about the things that you don't have and the things you haven't accomplished yet, that you never stop to appreciate the good things that you have. And then later you wonder why you're never happy, or you wonder why you're always stressed out. If you don't give yourself that honest to goodness time to stop and really enjoy life, then of course you're going to burn out. And of course you're going to end up hating the thing that you were pursuing and putting all your effort into. And of course all you're thinking about is how you were cheated and how it's unfair and how it sucks and all this stuff, when really it just was because you burnt out and you needed a break and you didn't give yourself permission to take a break. I feel like I reiterate the same things because I value the importance of it. I reiterate it because I feel like we reject this idea at first. The first time someone says, you know what, man, you just need to take a break. They say, hey, stop and smell the roses. You're like, you know what? That's such a cliche thing to say. What? Okay, yes, you go smell your damn roses, your darn roses, and I am going to get back to work. And that's wonderful, except for when you burn out. And that burnout doesn't happen for years or at all. Because some people say, I'm going to keep working until I succeed. Great. But if you don't give yourself that rest, that time to reflect and to stop. Well, Pat, what if I stop and I realize I can't do it anymore? I don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I don't stop, because if I realize if I do, I won't want to do it anymore. Well, maybe when it comes to exercise, that's a good plan. Can't stand exercise, but you have to do it. That's why there's a treadmill behind me. I'm sorry. But when it comes to things like this, creating or trying to live up to your potential, you have to be able to stop and evaluate yourself. Measure it. Because then you have to see how far you've come. And if it's not working out, you're killing yourself for something you're not going to enjoy. And once again, you only get so many years here on the earth. Why would you spend it miserable, competing with no one but yourself? You have to really evaluate what's important to you, but above all, rest, I feel, is so vital. It's funny. I would run out of ideas for the Jackass Express. I really would. And we'd be like, okay, well, what do we do? Have we done that? Okay, we've done a game. Okay, we've done that. What else can we do? And I'll just be like, you know what? I'm done. Taking a nap. I'm out of here. And I'll take a nap, and then I'll have a dream about something. And I'm like, that was a very weird dream. It was almost like we were 2D animated figures bickering about Santa Claus and Julian sneaking into Santa Claus's thing and us having to go rescue them. Which, by the way, that's how 9 a.m. came to be. And it's that rest that brought me the idea. If I had never stopped and I just kept pushing and pushing, it never would have happened. 9 a.m. never would have started, and we never would have gotten this momentum back up and going. And yeah, I fully expect our momentum not to, I mean, I expect it to do well, but I know it's not going to be, sunshine all the time here. Unless you're Tip. Tip's always happy for them. It's in those times that you're beaten up that you have to be able to, that you stop, and there's a value to it now. There's now something that you're getting in return for the rest. It's not just wasted time. And I feel like if you put that into your mind and tell yourself there is value in me resting, then that's when the true value is going to happen, and you're going to get wonderful things out of it. Well, in any case, I think I've bloviated long enough. I'm tired. I'm going to go rest. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm going to go celebrate my chair, which is over there. You can't see it. It's very comfortable. And I'm going to go sit in it and hopefully not be thinking about editing, because that's what's next on my mind. But nope, I'm stopping, giving myself a break. You should too. Thank you once again for listening to the Pat Podcast. Once again, we are also on iTunes and Google Play, from what I understand. So hopefully that's still working. I'm going to have to go check it now that I think about it. Oh, by the way, we had reached 100 followers on Twitter before they purged the hell out of it. No, just kidding. We're still pretty close. We're like at 95 or so. But we announced that we're going to be releasing remastered. You can't see me, audio listeners, but I'm doing an air quote. versions of the Jackass Express podcast. They've been sitting in our server for a while, and they were just blowing out people's ears, and there was problems, and so I went back and fixed them, and now we're going to be re-releasing them 2 episodes a week, and hopefully, if you feel like you want to go back and listen to some of those, they won't blow out your ears, and we're also going to begin uploading them to YouTube, our YouTube channel as well. Once again, a like and subscribe would be very appreciated. We thank you for your time. We value your time, and we enjoy you hanging out with us. And we move on to the next thing. Please visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/jackassexpress. Please also visit our website, jackassexpress.com. You know how it doesn't have that HTTPS thing at the beginning? Our blog does. It redirects to our blog, which does have that secure thing. So you're safe. You're not walking into a trap, I assure you. And then also our Twitter handle, which is Jackass Express, and our Instagram. We have an Instagram now. Holy cow. And Brandon's been making me feel bad with all his brilliant pictures from Italy. So please be sure to go follow us on Instagram as well. Thank you once again. We shall see you next time. Farewell!